And Retired Life Inspired begins now. Again, my name is Annie M. And as you can already see, I have another special guest. This is a series that I'm doing. But before I go any further, I'd like to begin properly with, I bear witness that there is one God, His exalted Christ and divine reminder in our midst. In their names, I greet you in the greeting words of peace, of Assalamu Alaikum, which simply means peace be unto you. And yes, of course, our sister here knows how to return the greeting. This is part 2. Part 3, I don't know. I don't know if I'll figure out what the sequence I'm going to go into in terms of retired life and inspired. And what we're doing is I'm talking about how do you serve, as well as acknowledging some of the various people that I actually have in my special descriptions below, special acknowledgments that you'll see below, that I mention on the Wednesday programs, and you're going to have a chance to meet some of these amazing and beautiful, wonderful people. Before we go any further, do remember to like and subscribe and share. And as always, Retired Life Inspired is dedicated to those 50-plus single women who find themselves navigating through some very interesting times. And if you are someone like me who wants to be able to pay off her house early, retire early, a little bit differently because those always just aren't working the way they used to, check out retiredlifeinspired.com. In the descriptions below, check it out and see how it can help you as well. So, without any further delay, I have to my left, your right, a very beautiful sister who is the spearhead behind the women's only morning Fajr prayer, Up in the Morning with the Rising Sun, so aptly titled. We have with us today, please welcome her, Sister Malik'ah Muhammad. Malik'ah. So it's really nice to have you here. And we're doing, this is, I had spoken with you all before. There's a number of us here that are with the Prayer and Fasting Foundation for Success. And we are here in an undisclosed location in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're all, visiting, and we're doing some wonderful things. Not just hanging out. No, it's boots on the ground, and we are here to spread the word of prayer and fasting and let it benefit all who hear. Sister Malik'ah Muhammad is a member of Prayer and Fasting Foundation for Success. And how long have you been fasting and so on and so forth?
With prayer and fasting, it's been 50 weeks.
50?
This Saturday.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We're going on almost a year. This is good. This is excellent. Okay.
Yes.
Dedication.
September 5th makes a year, I believe.
Praises due to Allah. Yeah. So you're also the one who is conducting the women's only morning Fajr prayer, Up in the Morning with the Rising Sun. Why?
Well, I'll start with the title. I live in a high-rise in Manhattan, in Queens, and I have a very big window. And outside of my window, it's a very broad window, it's about a panoramic view. I always look out that window and I get to see the sunrise every morning. And so I'm generally up in the morning with the rising sun.
Literally.
Yes. And in that experience, a lot of wonderful things happen for me during that time. And most times I'll be drawn to looking out the window, and the Spirit says to me, get your camera. And I'll take pictures of what's outside the window. And there's always a message in my photos. So this particular message was a guide for me to have the prayer with the women. And I thought it was so beautiful because I looked visually at the message, and I could see there was a message from Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, ma'am.
For the women. And from that, I said, you know what? We used to have a thing called chain calls years ago.
I remember that.
Yes,
I remember that.
We would call each other and get each other up in the morning. That's before we had Zoom and all those other things.
Right.
So I wanted to, because that was one of my favorites and it became a weakness for me, I wanted to get back into chain calling, or at least inviting the women to making prayer, because that is our it's an obligatory prayer, Fajr.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not optional. So I said, well, I'm grateful that this idea came to me. I'm going to name it Up in the Morning with the Rising Sun. And I'm going to invite women that may not know how to make salat. They can watch me make salat and hear me call the Adhan. And we can have an intimate relationship with one another and with our Lord.
Yes.
So that's where that where that inspiration came from.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Can anyone, we know it's women's only. Get that straight.
Yes.
Women's only. No sneaking, okay?
Right.
So you will be shut out. But women's only. Can anyone come who has a desire to learn how to pray? Or maybe they want to experience this type of prayer. So do they have to be Muslim?
No. It can be anyone, because prayer is essential, and the spirit is what we're tapping into. And a lot of times people are curious as to how Muslims pray. As young Mrs. Farrakhan teaches us, that a good Muslim is a good Christian, and a good Christian is a good Muslim.
Yes, ma'am.
So we want to let people know that how we pray, it may be a particular type of way, but it's a very natural way. And once you get introduced to it, you'll see that it's a process that has meaning, and it allows us to go deeper into that relationship that we're trying to build, or trying to in our communication.
Yes, ma'am.
So yes, anyone can come. You can listen. You can participate if you like. It doesn't have to be a Muslim. It could be anyone that's interested.
That's beautiful. So, listen to that. I think you almost answered it already, but how would you, I remember before we even started this, I explained to you that I'm doing a whole series focusing on being of service. And to me, Prayer and Fasting Foundation for Success has been a vehicle of being of service from the get-go. But how do you serve?
Well, number one, as an MGT and GCC, a Muslim Girl in Training, that's already one of my posts. We're believers, we're servants, and so my serving is finding ways to bring people to God, or bring them closer, or tightening up their relationships, because all of us have that need. We just may not know how to. We don't know how we're going to get back on the horse when we fall off, and so the prayer class allows women that may desire to strengthen their communication with God to take that step. And so serving is just really listening and feeling out who has that interest.
Right.
And then also lending my spirit through the prayer to tap into the listener's spirit. Because ultimately we want to keep people interested where they want to continue to get deeper in their relationship, deeper in their prayer, and be more committed.
Very good.
Yeah.
I like this. You may hear noises in the background, and people are trying to be so polite and so quiet, and I really could care less if they're caught in the back and walking around. All of us are here, and they're just being so wonderful and polite about not interrupting, but really, it's okay. It just, it's life. It happens. So, anything else that you'd like to add about? This has been very, very fruitful and very helpful, especially for the person maybe never even considered praying. I think it's a beautiful invitation. Anything else you would like to add, or is there a question that you would like to be asked that I haven't asked?
Not necessarily. I really I love to pray.
Okay.
I love the way it makes me feel when we're done praying. I love the idea of communicating with our Creator. I love the fact that He has a divine meeting time for us. And this is like an appointment. And that's how I look at it. He's given me an appointment, 5 different appointments. And if you have anything you want to see the doctor about, who is the God that created us, you meet Him at those appointed times. And they are designed. I see prayer as my peace. It's where I find my peace. Prayer is also our protection. and it's also our purification.
Yes, ma'am.
So those are the 3 P's that I have gained from prayer, and I continue to share with people as how valuable it is. A lot of people don't see the value of prayer. They think it's not going to work. God is not going to hear me. But it's very powerful when we know how to pray and we know when to pray.
I think one of the reasons why people don't see the real true value, I think the mind of this world has taught people to make it just like an exercise. It's something you do.
Right.
It doesn't really work. It's a feel-good thing, but I don't think they really understand. No, there is a deeper connection, and you're definitely taking people on that journey to discover that much more deeper, meaningful connection that will ultimately affect their entire life in the best way.
And may I say this really quickly?
Yes, ma'am.
We have been taught to pray to something outside of ourselves. Now, yes, we are little gods. The Most High, Allah, whatever you choose to call him, has deposited a portion of himself in every one of us.
Yes, ma'am.
We don't all have the same exact amount, but we all have himself in us.
Yes, ma'am.
So when I'm in prayer, I'm praying and I'm communicating to the highest of myself, my higher self, the God in me. And that is an awakening. When we neglect ourselves, we don't talk to ourselves, yourself begins to dull and fall asleep or even die off.
Yes,
but when you communicate with yourself, the God in you, you awaken all of your beings. You awaken all of the spiritual presence within yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
This is how you'll see your prayers become powerful.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you're not looking for a mystery God. You're looking to communicate with the God that is in you, inside this vehicle.
Re-engaging.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is what I like to share with people, is that know that there is something valuable in you, something sacred in you. Get to know who that is. Talking to yourself is not a bad thing. You're not crazy because you talk to yourself. People are crazy for not talking to themselves.
Yeah. That, kind of, makes you wonder about that person you see talking to themselves on the street.
Yes.
Maybe we shouldn't to be so quick to judge.
That's fine, because you don't know, and that could be their healing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a beautiful interview. I wanted to make sure you all got to see the lovely sister behind the Women's Only Morning Fajr prayer.
Thank you.
Up in the morning with the rising sun. The description, all the information will be in the description below, so do check it out, do support it. This is not just good food mentally, but good food for the soul and for the spirit. The best way to start your day is in tune, and what better way than to maybe join our dear sister in this way of reuniting and re-engaging with the God within.
Thank you.
So, with that being said, thank you very much.
Thank
It's my
you for
second
having me.
guest. Oh, we did it. Okay. Woohoo! All
Yes,
right.
this is beautiful. Thank you.
All praises due to Allah. With that being said, again, do like, subscribe, and share. And you can kind of see over my shoulder, prayer in action. Like, subscribe, and share. And as always, create your life inspired. Thank you for joining us again. Peace and take care.
Thank you.